California rental assistance funds are slowly dribbling out, and the March 31st, 2022 deadline is coming to an end. AB 2179 is going to extend some rental protections, potentially, if it's passed. We're going to tell you what happens next for California landlords and California tenants. And stick around to the end, where we're going to talk about exciting new legislation that will help landlords who are owed back rent but couldn't receive funds through housingiskey.com. Hey there. Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We have been giving you updates on California eviction moratoria since the beginning, and we're here with what may be the last extension on any sort of protections under California eviction moratoria. We are going to dive into AB 2179. Now, a few important points. Number one is we can't give tax or legal advice, but for the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, you can subscribe to this channel. Run everything we share with you by an attorney, of course. Another important point is AB 2179 has not yet passed. It should be signed into law by this Friday as of filming this video. So it could change a little bit. Of course, we're going to release additional content after the legislation is passed. Here's a quick update on the California eviction moratorium laws. So the most recent law, AB 832, you saw the content we did on that. That expired on September 30th, 2021. And most folks don't realize that evictions in the state could move forward, and that's most at-fault evictions. For example, if a tenant is causing a nuisance or a criminal act, and also no fault could move forward in many cases. So that would be owner move-in or an extensive remodel, etc. Those were allowed to move forward as of October 1st, 2021, unless you were in an area with a local eviction moratorium. And we've done some content, for example, on the Los Angeles County eviction moratorium. But the rest of the state, those evictions could move forward. But there was some special protections in AB 832 related to non-payment of rent. And what it said is that a landlord could not evict a tenant for non-payment of rent from October 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, unless the landlord applied for rental assistance. And these protections were in place whether a tenant missed payment of rent due to COVID-19 or non-payment of rent that wasn't related to COVID-19. Landlords could not move forward with an unlawful detainer or an eviction related to non-payment of rent because of these AB 832 protections. So I hope you're still with me. The deadline is March 31st, 2022 for those protections. In comes AB 2179. Now, we all know that the state funds from housingiskey.com have been very slow to trickle out. And we've done content on this as well. And a lot of renters were scared because they had been potentially approved for the rental assistance funds, but it takes months in many cases for those funds to get to the landlord. So what tenants were worried is that landlords could evict even though those funds were promised and on their way. What AB 2179 does is it extends the deadline for a landlord being able to evict due to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19 from April 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2022, as long as a tenant has applied on or before March 31st, 2022 for rental assistance. They are protected while waiting for approval or for those funds to be distributed. But what is required is that the tenant pays their April 2022 rent and the months ahead, or they're at risk of eviction due to non-payment of rent. And it doesn't look like tenants can any longer claim that COVID is affecting their ability to pay rent April 2022 and going forward. So we logged into our account and it doesn't look like you can request any funds beyond March of 2022. So this further backs up the fact that April rent is going to have to be paid by tenants or they're at risk of eviction. It's not like they can claim that they're waiting on April 2022 rent from Housing is Key. Please leave your comments below if you found that you've been able to apply for any rent as a tenant for April 2022 or beyond, any prospective rent. Let us know in the comments below. We'd like to hear your take on this. Let's take a quick look at AB 2179, and I've got a link below so you can check this out. I encourage you to go to the actual bill language and read it. Again, this could change. The tab we're on is the today's law as amended. That doesn't mean that it's amended and in place. This is the latest draft of the bill. This section here in the middle of the bill is probably going to lead to some changes in the Los Angeles County Eviction Moratorium. Stay tuned for future content. I will let you know if it changes the dates for phase 1 and phase 2 or makes any other big changes to the LA County Eviction Moratorium. And this may also have an effect on some other local eviction moratoria. So definitely do some research, reach out to a local attorney. Here is the biggest change, and this is the extension built into the bill beyond March 31st, 2022. Anything from April 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022, if a landlord is attempting to evict a tenant due to non-payment of rent for COVID rental debt, they're going to have to use a special 3-day notice to pay or quit, because it's going to be special because it's going to have this language on it. So if a tenant has applied for rental assistance before the deadline of March 31st, 2022, they are going to have additional time to wait for those funds. So the landlord will not be able to evict if a landlord is attempting to evict due to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19 and the tenant has applied and they're waiting on those funds. Now there's additional language below. What happens is if the tenant's denied or the funds run out, for example, the landlord is going to be able to move forward with the eviction for non-payment of rent due to COVID-19. One other important point here is this is only for COVID-19 rental debt. So if a tenant does not pay their April rent, their April 2022 rent, that's not a covered COVID rental debt period. What's clear is if you miss April 2022 rent, no matter whether it's due to COVID or not, there's no additional protections for a tenant in this case. Tenants, again, make sure you apply for rental assistance on or before March 31st, 2022 at housingiskey.com. Landlords, you need to do the same thing as well. Make sure you apply. Note that there may now be 2 different 3-day notices to pay or quit. One for tenants who've applied and are waiting for approval, and a different 3-day notice to pay or quit if the tenant is being evicted for non-payment of rent for April 2022 or going forward. That's why you need to reach out, landlords, to an attorney for assistance, and likewise tenants, if you receive any paperwork, make sure you turn to an attorney as well. Thanks for sticking around to the end. We promise to share with you legislation that's in the works that's potentially going to help landlords who haven't been able to make whole by the state rental assistance program. So this is SB 847 and it still has not been passed. In fact, it's got a little longer to go before AB 2179. We encourage you to reach out to your legislators to help push this along. This will allow landlords who had tenants who did not cooperate, so those are tenants who decided they just weren't going to apply for rental assistance, or tenants who disappeared in the middle of the night on landlords and didn't bother to follow up for rental assistance, plus the other category of tenants who are at 81% of area median income or higher. As you know, for the state rental assistance program, it covered those at 80% or lower. So a lot of landlords were left without any source of funds because the tenants could not be approved because of where their income level was. So there's important things in here that the landlord must do in order to apply for this program. The tenant does not have to cooperate, and they probably weren't cooperating. That's why the landlord's applying. So it's important that the landlord actually applies for rental assistance before the deadline of March 31st, 2022. So all you landlords out there, make sure you've applied whether your tenants are cooperating or not. They're going to divvy up the funds such that grants will go to smaller landlords first. So if you're a REIT or you're a large corporation, for example, they're going to be moved to the back of the line. Smaller landlords are going to move to the front of the line and get the funds first. Another important key is the landlord must obtain a civil money judgment against the tenant for COVID-19 rental debt. So the landlord's actually going to have to go to court to attempt to collect the money first, And if the tenant doesn't show up or the tenant loses, the landlord will be able to apply to this program. These funds are coming from the state treasury. They're not coming from the federal treasury. So these are state dollars that will be used to help make landlords whole. So for example, they don't lose their property to foreclosure. This exciting program are for all those landlords out there who found themselves in a bind, and the state program from housingiskey.com could not help. Make sure you reach out to your legislators to help push this along. Let us know your thoughts and questions below in the comment sections. We want to hear from you. You're not going to want to miss any additional updates on California eviction moratorium laws, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and also subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter. It comes out on every Sunday, and we'll keep you up to date on topics like this, plus a whole lot more for tenants and landlords and buyers and sellers. This is a must-see playlist for all renters and landlords in California. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.